All right, so let's get underway here. Mute, remove that. So good morning, good afternoon from wherever you are viewing this today. I am once again, your outstanding host, Skye Logan, Director of Philanthropy Investing here at Equity and Help. Today's webinar, Making a Living While Making a Difference. Okay, a little bit of a deeper conversation today on purpose, on the mission, the drive, what drives us as humans, what drives us as investors, as people on this planet, and how that actually impacts, and what I have noticed throughout my years, and how that actually expanding into that actually expands a lot. Your own income, I've seen many times when people start engaging in that, making a difference, how it starts expanding their income and everything like that. So we're going to get into that conversation here. So as usual, there's a chat window that you can see there. You should be able to access that. Feel free to ask any questions there in the chat window. I will try to keep my eye on that and answer up. And there is also a Q&A or questions and answers you can use as well, but either way, whichever one one of those you want to use, feel free to ask any questions and make any points, say good morning, good afternoon, etc., good evening, depending on where you're at on this planet, this great blue planet of ours. So if you're coming in just now, again, my name is Skye Logan, Director of Philanthropy Investing here at Equity and Help. This is our weekly webinar that I love to give. I love to talk. I am a talker. I deal with people. I'm a people person, whether door-to-door, phone, in person, etc. And so I absolutely love connecting with people and changing viewpoints and changing my own viewpoint. So today's webinar, Making a Living While Making a Difference. All right, so we'll get underway here. Again, if you're just coming in, feel free to use the chat window there to ask any questions. And I'll try to keep my eye on that. All right, so as I was discussing, we're going to be talking about making a difference, using your investments and actually growing as a person. Quite often, a little bit later on in life, we all start assessing our value on this planet to our family, to our friends, whether or not we've given back enough, whether they've been supporting me more than I've been helping support them. And we want to start maybe shifting that just a little bit. Once you start, same thing goes for whenever your income, you start having some disposable income, some disposable capital, and you're not struggling and fighting to pay bills, but you actually have some capital there to deploy in greater and greater amounts. And you want to start doing something with that. So the question is what do you do with that? Okay. So obviously there's that term philanthropy, which pretty much all of us have probably heard of. And, what is that term? What is philanthropy? What is being a philanthropist? And so, we start looking at that and how can, like here at Equity and Help, obviously it's a philanthro investing. We're utilizing our investments, using our capital to actually give a hand up. Okay, it's not a charity. Right? It's an active effort. Merriam-Webster's dictionary defines philanthropy as an active effort. Okay, active. You're actually engaging in something, an active effort to better society. Okay, better other people's lives. Okay, so again, it's not a charity. You're utilizing that investment, that capital, to actually give a hand up, and that is the ingeniousness of our system that we've discovered here, and a lot of other investments. Impact investing. That you can make a great return, growing your capital while helping others. Our clients are absolutely loving it, okay, because they have that sense of wealth, of not just money, but of help, of giving a hand up. They're actually expanding themselves out of their own little cubicle, their own little blinders like horse. They're actually taking those off, and they're actually paying attention quite a bit more to society, and they like that sense of expanding as a person, and that's what that is. You've gotten to a point where you're now not paying attention to just me. I'm now expanding myself and growing as a person. Okay, But a lot of things you got to look at is, what are you going to do? Okay. This says here, as you can see here, the logic model. So what type of interventions, what are you going to actually do? The type of beneficiaries are going to benefit from your philanthropy. Okay. So what's the most value for society and for me? It's infinity valued logic, right? Just like everything, it's not black and white. There's a gradient scale. It's either just a little bit of philanthropy or it's more and more and more and more. So you might want to consider, what has the most value to society? What's really needed? Okay. I'm going to invest in shelters for chipmunks. Okay. Is that, where's that in the importance scale compared to, shelter for children? Obviously, these types. So that's that value factor. Obviously, the vehicle. What kind of organization should you choose? Okay, for that, there's lots of them out there. So that's something you want to consider in your philanthropy. A time horizon. When and how often do you donate? Okay, is that weekly, monthly, quarterly, yearly? You need to consider like how often you have disposable income, capital to actually to do that. Okay. The style, what kind of engagement, and the visibility, you heard silent investors or silent partners, various things. Everything's got either super active and visible or you're silent, so that's something you can consider. What style do you want to engage in? Do you want a wide open charity, organizations, and etc., or do you just, I'm just going to donate to something quietly, and because that feeds that need that you have, that philanthropy. Okay. So, all right. So in 2020, overall charitable giving in the United States increased by 2% on a year-over-year basis. Okay. So I would love to see this kind of something. I'm a member of a lot of these different organizations and things like that. But you can look at this, the Chronicles of Philanthropy, which I really love, and various other organizations provide a lot of great information on charities and contributions and various things. But we could sit and discuss a lot of these things on whether it's shrinking, whether it's shifting. You can see on a year-to-year trend on where people are giving into certain areas. Okay. And it's crazy how much is going to charitable organizations, to philanthropy, philanthropic activities, various things, impact investing, etc. Okay. So some of these figures here. So the average online donation this past year was $225. Human Services tops that. 10.9% of their total fundraising came from those online giving. Okay. Charitable giving increased on this online aspect 7.5% in just the first half of 2020. Okay. So some of your top ones here, international affairs, 6%, 28.89 billion. The top of it here is to religion, 29%, which that makes sense. A lot of people tithe. A lot of people give 10% automatically to their religion that they are members of. And so that's always a fantastic way to do that. So 128 billion, 64 billion to education, 55 billion to human services. Okay, 53 billion to different foundations, 41 billion health, etc., on down the list here. So these some different areas if you want to consider. Whenever you think about investing or donating or giving to charitable things, you might not know of all these different aspects, but you can just Google it. There's so many, hundreds of thousands of organizations and charities and foundations and various things that you can, different ways to do that. And it's really interesting, really entertaining for me when you start looking at all the different ways to do that. And not only just the different ways, but the different organizations that you can donate to that. If you want to give to education, just look it up. Donations to education, and you'll just see a huge number of ways that you can do that. Okay. But again, as I mentioned earlier, you need to evaluate, what level of value do you want to actually give? Just a little bit of value or more, so you can decide where on that scale you want to be, and then choose the type of charities you want to give to, and then the organization that's going to help take care of that. Okay. So we obviously all hear about the billionaires, the big charities, the big foundations out there. But what's interesting, so if you look at these, so everyone's heard of, Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation, Elon Musk, Warren Buffett, Barry, there's lots of different ones out there. But if you look at this, so this is 1980 to 2019. So this is giving by source, okay? So I'm talking about this over here. This is in billions, okay? So what's interesting, so individuals actually, look at that, 82%, so this is in billions, all right, actually give a lot more compared to foundations, bequests, corporations, okay? That is kind of shocking because you would think that, oh, some of these groups give, hundreds of millions of dollars, $30 million in one whack type of thing. And that's obviously got to override all the individual, but no, this is since 1980 to 2019. Okay. I find that really fascinating. Okay. Here's the total giving. So this is actually the value of, so 1979, pretty much that same time period to 2019, right? In billions of dollars, of course. All right. Right. So this is so up to $449 billion. All right. So that's the value of, that's a lot of people giving back. Okay. Again, it's that need that we have as people. It doesn't benefit anybody. Trust me, like focusing all your attention focused inward. You expand as a person, the more you start looking outward. Even if it's not money, good, donate time. How many of you actually, I've got a big family, my wife and I, we have 6 kids together. So I'm either working, or I'm paying attention to my family, or I do a lot of humanitarian stuff. I do a lot, for those of you that know me, I'm very active in humanitarian efforts and various things like that. And we also like doing simple things like at Thanksgiving, sign up for a food line type of thing and stuff. And what's crazy is how long that waiting list is. Sometimes you have to have an in just to get in there because there's so many people wanting to do that, wanting to help and wanting to give back. But so it's not money. You can also look at your time and various things. So that's always a nice first step to do as well, because you can start you get that sense of accomplishment and giving back. Okay. Like this note here. So the mode of singularity among the billionaire philanthropists is this: looking back, they've noticed a need that has to be filled. Okay. And they obviously have resources in order to do that, but they spot that need. They start looking out at society. Okay. And they put their attention and they utilize and get smart on how to actually give back to that. All right. So what motivates you? Okay. Why are you doing it? All right. Here's an interesting infographic here. People just notice the recipient on the other end actually just needed the help. They needed the handout. I lived in Southern California for 25 years, and being in LA or San Diego, various things, or I guess being anywhere at this point, unfortunately, you can see a lot of homeless, various things like that. So how many of you have given $1, give $5, $20? Have you you see a need, guys wanting money, needs food, you just give. So that's obviously recipient needed help. You spotted that. That was that motivation at that moment. Okay. Also helping feels good. I did it for me, as a secondary. My wife, why would you give him $20? Like, cause honey, cause I like to give back, pay it forward. Because it makes you feel good as well. Being able to do that, again, being selfish or paying attention only to mine, it actually helps me force my attention on giving. Okay. For myself, I have a certain percentage that I give of my income to various things. And there's just that percentage, if it's 10%, no matter what that goes to, that is just a donation, and that is it. And if I want to give more, then I need to make more. Okay. Other motivation, felt empathy, feel like a better person. Okay. These are things that we all need to increase our awareness on. Some, I guess you start getting maybe some lower motivations. It was a relative, my cousin, but again, that goes to, they needed help or whatever, but felt bad about something, avoid guilt. You start getting lower and lower on this motivation scale. Down here, save taxes. Oh, he's only doing it because he's trying to save on his huge tax bill. That's such a low motivation. He's doing it to save the money, of course. But anyways, I find that. Where are you at on that scale? All right. All right. Billionaire Story. I love this. Many of you that have been in my presentations might have seen some of this. But Warren Buffett and Bill Gates are some of the most charitable American billionaires in history. Okay. Again, there it is. Chronicle philanthropy there. Calculated the giving since 2000 of the 10 richest people in America and calculated their charity as a share of their total wealth. Okay. So Warren Buffett topped this list, giving away more, get this, giving away more than $46 billion since 2000. Billions with a B, right? So that worked out to 71% of his 65 billion. So that's crazy, right? 71% of his wealth. That's pretty huge, right? How many of us would give away 70% of our wealth? Right? Billionaires' wealth levels were from Forbes as of the end of 2016. Many of those fortunes are now higher. So Gates, he's given away 18 billion, pales in comparison to Warren Buffett, or 22% of his 81 billion fortune to charity since 2000. But he also has the Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation, right? So he and Melinda Gates has given away more than twice since they created their foundation in 1994. He recently donated another 4.6 billion in Microsoft stock. Okay, so I find this interesting. So this is where it's going to take us here. So this is Warren Buffett's wealth here. So in this, so this is how old he was right here, 14, 15, etc. His wealth. Okay, and this is absolutely true. So what's interesting here is you see this huge spike that happens. Like, what happened here, right? And he himself, if you know him or read any of his stuff, you'll know he definitely took a greater role as a human on the planet. Okay, he was just like, I have responsibility. I need to blah, for others, not just my own. I got myself figured out for others, right? He had this around that point right there. Okay. And look what it made him do. Isn't that crazy? So that goes to that deep conversation about how we expand as a person when we start just wanting to expand. You have to want, name, want, get, right? But you definitely you have to want to get there. You have to want to give. You want to expand as a person, okay? And reaching out. And what's interesting is your responsibility starts moving out from yourself. So does your control. You can't control anything within that sphere unless your responsibility is surrounding it. So you have to accept that responsibility. Your control will start coming in, right? You've got to start knowing about that. Okay, start learning about that subject. Okay, so I find that highly interesting. All right, Jeff Bezos, look at this. Okay, estimated by Forbes magazine. Okay, 1999. Here, 2019, began philanthropic projects and donations. Very similar. Tick, 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 tick. Right? Many of these, I study the wealthy a lot. You know me, I am a reader. I generally try to get through 3 or 4 books a month on various subjects. So I have a huge library, but I love studying millionaires and that mentality and billionaires at this point for sure. What makes them tick? How do they operate? How do, not even just billionaires, but how do some of the people that I respect the most, what do they do and how do I replicate that? Okay. So what's interesting when studying all these different people, Warren Buffett, and Jeff Bezos, and Bill Gates, and all these others, Elon Musk, et cetera, you can see this. Okay. So again, I'm asking you, where are you at on your responsibility level, not just on yourselves, but trust me, you will, your own, once you start putting your attention elsewhere, it starts expanding. And then you just like, you don't have to worry about yourself. It's just, it just happens. Okay. So if you're struggling, trying to sort things out for yourself, your own retirement fund, or your own investment vehicles, or, or whatever, as you start expanding past that, that becomes menial. That's not the problem anymore, right? A much bigger problem. Okay. So how can the model of the elites be transcribed for your benefit in ways, again, that are duplicatable? Like how? Not all of them, but there's certain ones that you can duplicate, some you can't. The ones that are less hassle, involvement, starting foundation. This is obviously a difficult thing, starting a whole foundation or a whole grant or something. Many of us are not at that level where we can do that, but what can I do? What's something that is a doable thing that I can start expanding from? Okay. But you obviously want something that gives profits as well, as far as like in our system, like if I could generate 12%, 14%, 11%, 10%, whatever, over 10% returns to somebody, and it's being used to actually help needy, help families get into homes, stabilize families, and the butterfly effect that happens with that, right? It's a no-brainer. Our clients are doing it day in, day out. And so you find something that if you want to expand from, that'll help, because you're doing philanthropy at the same time. You're generating some income from that. It's kind of a best of both worlds there. And obviously helps people out, as it says here, directly helps someone in need. Okay. So any questions on that? Feel free to chime in, or any comments that you might have on that. I love having, this is kind of a really deep conversation that I like to have live with someone in a Zoom call or face-to-face, or a coffee shop, right, down the corner here. So it's kind of hard via chat, but it's definitely an interesting thing. You should give some food for thought. Okay. Feel free to reach out to me anytime. My name is Skye Logan, of course. Again, how hard is your money working for you? Are you working hard for your money? Are you a slave to your money? Are you struggling? Have you figured out money? What is money? What are investments? What is this thing, philanthropy? How do I start expanding as a person? How do I play a different game? I'm tired, Skye. I am tired of playing the game I'm playing. What do I do? That's a good question. What do you do? Let's start figuring that out, right? Grab a pad of paper and a pen, pencil, start jotting it out. I'm a firm believer of putting it in writing. You can sketch it, you got to kind of put it here, then put it on paper first, and then it'll start like creating itself. Okay. So if you want to discover some of the facts about equity and help, how we help people out, how our clients are absolutely loving it, then feel free to reach out to me on our website there. You can see, just go to the website. I'm all over the place. You can schedule a call with me, and I absolutely will love to talk with you and walk you through some of that. Okay. So thank you very much for coming to today's webinar. And I look forward to seeing you next week, or at least talking with you next week. And it'll be next Thursday. Our marketing queen will send out the invitations on that as well. But thank you very much for coming. Have a blessed week.